Hello and welcome back to my channel. My lovely friends, I hope you're all doing okay. My name is Sam, and if you're new here, I'm a stay-at-home mum who just literally aids my own mental health and just makes silly little videos like this one just to pass the time. I'm a stay-at-home mum who looks after neurodiverse children. I'm a housewife and I've had some mental health issues in the past, and I've found that making beautiful things has aided that beautifully. So if you're anything like me and you've had those kind of issues in the past, then a very, very huge welcome. And I am an advocate for crafting to aid your mental health journey. It's great to make things with your hands. It's good for the soul, I think. So I have made these recently whilst I was recovering from my awful flu. I've made these beautiful, beautiful earrings with a little peyote stitch frame. So here we go. And that's my husband outside making lots of noise. So I apologise for that. So let's have a look what we're going to need for these. Right, so I bought a vintage necklace long time ago. And as you know, vintage sort of 50s, 60s necklaces, it came with these beautiful AB coated beads. Aren't they pretty? So the necklace itself was a wreck, so I paid very little money for it, and I thought that using these gorgeous beads would be a really good way of breathing some new life into something that basically would just be thrown away. So I think I paid maybe £1 or something like that. What's that, $2 Australian, about $1.50 maybe in US terms, perhaps. But anyway, I thought these were absolutely gorgeous. And I thought that they would make beautiful addition to a pair of earrings. What do you think? So I'm going to show you how to make these. Like I say, if you're a wire bender, it might not be for you, but you know, that's okay. So I'm just going to bring in my little mat here because I'm going to be using some beads that need a mat, so hopefully. So let's go through a list of materials. You're not going to need very much actually. So obviously you're going to need your bead. You're going to need some, these are Miyuki 15-0 beads, okay, for the front of the frame. And you're also going to need some of these little Delica beads. These are 11-0 Delica beads. And if you wanted to replicate these are number 203. They're like a pearl style, which I thought looked really elegant for this design. And these ones are just galvanized gold. All right, if you wanted to replicate this exactly. So what else are we going to need? Obviously a bead. Now I've seen a lot of people use faux pearls for these designs and they're absolutely beautiful, but I thought I'd try my hands at using, you know, a faceted crystal bead just to see how that turned out. And I think they turned out really, really pretty, don't you? Beautiful, aren't they? You're going to need some ear wires, really, really simple, obviously, ear wires. I don't need to show you those. You're going to need a couple of tiny little, what are these called, Sammy? What are they called? Jump rings, there you go, my brain. You're going to need a couple of tiny little jump rings. You can, if you want, create a 15-0 loop with 15-0 seed beads, but I like these tiny little jump rings that fit through one of the beads. You have to be gentle whilst you're doing it, obviously not to crack all your, crack your seed bead. So it's up to you how you do that. I find that these are fine, and I've never had a problem. So you're going to need some of those, and essentially all you'll need now is a size 10 beading needle and some beading thread, which I have neglected to bring with me, so I'll come back in a second. Here we go. I'm using 1G beading thread, and this is in beige. It's a 0.2 millimeter. It's got a little bit of stretch to it, and it's a really nice beading thread, so this is the one I'm using today. Right, so let's get going, shall we? Let's just pop that just there. So I can pour my little beads onto it. Right, so you're going to need around about half a wingspan of thread to make each one. You don't need too much, but half a wingspan should be fine. And what I tend to do is just give the thread a little bit of a pull and a little bit of a stretch. It just takes the elasticity out of it slightly, like so. There we go. So we thread this onto our size 10 beading needle. So hopefully this will happen first time round. And the gods of threading needles are smiling upon me today. And are they? No, they're not. Thank you, gods of beading needles and threading. It's very kind of you not to be smiling upon me today. So I'll come back in a sec. There we are. Thank you very much for waiting with me. These stupid little tiny eyes of needles that, you know, as you're getting older, you can't see, can you, honestly? So I've just drug out my my reading glasses. I'm getting older. So you need to put a stopper bead on, like so. I'll just give it a little, about, I don't know, 4 or 5 inches at one end, just so you've got enough to weave in. So let's take out some seed beads here. Not seed beads, what are these called? Delica beads. I'm just going to pop them on this little mat because it's easier than the baize for some reason. The baize is really annoying and it's a bit sheddy. So let's use this little mat. And obviously we want our bead. So when you're doing this kind of thing, you want an even number of beads. Now, I think this particular bead, might be a 10mm. Couldn't be exactly sure because I've not used my little measuring device. So you want an even number. Now I know, because I've made these ones, that this takes 32 Delica beads. So I'm just going to count these out, which I'll speed up probably. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. Okay, so I know that there are 32 beads required to get around this bead nicely. When you're doing it yourself, depending upon the size of the bead that you want, cross over and pop your needle just through the first bead. So what you want to do is to make sure that that little halo, pull it tight, that the little halo fits around the bead but isn't too loose, if that makes sense. So can you see how that's not too loose, but it just sits around it nicely, like so. If it can hold it like that, then that's perfect. So as long as you've got an even number of beads. So if you've got to that point and you're happy, just come down a couple more beads like so. So you've got a halo of beads essentially. Now I don't know if you've done peyote stitch before. I'm just learning it. It's wonderful and I'm finding it really therapeutic. So as you know, you need to pop the beads in alternate beads, if that makes sense. So if you can see here, the thread is coming out of this bead. So we miss the next bead and pop a bead on through the next bead along. So miss a bead and then pop a bead in. So essentially it sits next to this bead here, like so. I'll come in closer whilst I'm editing so that you can see what I'm doing. Again, I'm not an expert, you know. Here we go. So miss this bead and go through this bead. So you go around in a circle, essentially, popping these beads in next to each other. So we go round, so get another bead, miss this bead, and through this one, like so. And we just basically keep going around. Miss a bead, insert a bead. This is so therapeutic, and you'll You'll know that when you're doing this yourself. I think those of you who have done this kind of thing before will know what I'm talking about. It's actually a really therapeutic process. So if, like me, you do this kind of thing for therapeutic purposes, to aid your mental health, I make no qualms at all on this channel about discussing mental health. It's extremely important to have it out there in the open. There is no way that it's good for you to hide it, or indeed, you know, we need to take away the stigma that's attached to mental health issues, and a lot of us have it. So I make no qualms at all about discussing it. Mine started when I was at university, and sadly, you know, I did suffer the deaths of a couple of really very close family members in 1 month in my final year, and it basically finished me off. Whilst I was a single parent as well. So mental health is something that we need not be worried about talking about. Anyway, that's my little monologue for this particular video. So you just keep going around and around and around until, just ignore that little one. So we've just got one more to put in here, and this is where what they call step up. So you miss this bead, come in through this last bead and pop your needle through the next bead up. So essentially we're stepping up, is apparently what they call it. So we've got 2 rows here in a circle, if you can see. What I will do is I will come in closer when I'm editing, and hopefully it's not going too blurred. So we want another row. So we're coming out of this bead, and essentially we pop a bead through each alternate one, like so. So just keep going round, and keep going round. Actually, just to have a quick chat about what this channel is about, again, I've had a few comments, some not so nice, some, you know, relatively polite, but saying that I go too slow, or that I talk too much, or, you know, along those kind of lines, which is absolutely fine. This channel isn't for everybody. You know, be aware that this channel is my channel, and this gives me something to do. And if I go too slow for you, or if I talk too much, then please, you know, obviously this channel isn't meant for you. There are, you know, I can give you lots and lots of names of channels who go a lot more quickly than I do, if that's what you fancy. So, but you know, everyone is welcome here. So all I'm doing now is going around, and you'll find that when you start to get towards the end, your little ring is going to want to pull in on itself, and that's exactly what we want anyway. Some people use a little mandrel to put their little hoop of, can you see now how I'm starting to pull these little beads in to make a hoop of beads, if you will, a circle. Some people put it on a mandrel or on the end of their finger. It's up to you. I'm just using my fingers and starting to pull in as we're going around. So as you can see, I'm missing a bead, popping a bead in, missing a bead and popping a bead in. So here we are on our last bead. So we want to pop the bead in and step up. So we've come out of this one here. All right, so as you can see here, we've pulled them in so that we've got a little circle of beads, and that's exactly what we're looking for. We come into the little gold seed beads now, the little 15Os, because what we want to do is to make 2 rows of those for the frame. Right, so all you do, you can either, you know, stitch towards you or stitch away from you. I tend to stitch away from me. Okay, so miss, and pop one of these little beads into the gap and tug. This is where we start to tug because we want to be bringing this little frame inwards a little bit. All right, so can you see how we are missing a bead and popping a bead into this little open section here, this little gap here. Hopefully my big fat fingers aren't in the way too much. Okay, so up and through, like so. You just keep going around. I'm hoping that you can see this okay. Keep going around. Popping a little 15-0 in the gaps. Looks a little wonky and looks a little bit angular at this particular point, but don't worry about that. Just keep going round. Keep going round. I'll see if I can pop this on an angle on my finger so that you can see where I'm putting the bead. So you've got a bead here and a bead here. As the lovely Jill Wiseman calls them, sticky out beads. She's wonderful. I'm learning an awful lot from her. I urge you to seek out her channel if you are like me and you're learning how to do this wonderful, wonderful thing. So here, pop through like so, and pop that little gold bead in. Each time, just keeping it in between the fingers, and giving it a little bit of a tug as we're going along. Can you see how we're getting towards the end? So you want to do 2 rounds of this, like so. Nearly there. I like to hear people talking. It's, you know, I like watching people making things, and I think you can get the personality of the person if they're talking. I think these channels that demonstrate things with just music are absolutely great and fine if that's, you know, what you like. But I like to listen to people talking, don't you? Especially if you're sitting down like I do, and put a channel on and craft along. It's like sitting around the table with a friend, isn't it? So hope that's all right. So here we have the last bead. So we want to pop it up this one and through the gold one. You can see that. Hopefully that's the last bead of the round, and then just give it a little bit of a tug. So we've got this little circular thing going on here. So we want to make another round of these. All right, oops. So let's just go around and then into each space between the gold beads. Can you see that? Through there, through the gold beads. And each time we go through a bead, we just give it a little bit of a tug. So whilst we're doing this, let me know in the comments what you've been making. I do like to hear from you in this chatty format channel. I'm meeting people from all over the world, which is just an absolute delight. And if you're interested, I do have a Facebook group, which is a private group. So, you know, we meet there and sort of show off what we've been making. It doesn't have to be jewellery, doesn't have to be anything to do with beads. You know, I like to see all sorts of things. One of my members in there showed off recently an absolutely beautiful macrame, a micro macrame bracelet, which she used wire wrapping to finish off the ends, and it was just beautiful. So come join us over there if you'd like to come and join us. I will leave a link to my Facebook group. All I ask you to do is just to make sure you answer the joining questions. It just helps to keep everyone safe. So come and join us and show off what you've been making. Share a bit about your life. It's nice to make friends, especially if you're like me and you live in a situation where you don't get out very much. Okay, so through the last bead and through the last bead. So we have our little circle here. Can you see that? So what we need to do now is to bring our thread through the center here of the white of the pearl beads. So we've come out here, so we want to go through here and through here, like so. And then you want to place your needle through like so. So you're coming out of the middle of these little pearl beads, pop your needle through a little bit. Because what we want to be doing now is to get our little bead, our little beautiful little bead here, and place it into the frame. So get the hole of the bead, place it in with the needle through the center of it, and then up through like so. All right, so you pull your thread through like so. That secures it in. All right, so that's one half of the bead done. So we need to turn it over now, and we're going to go around again with the gold beads. So we need to make sure that we're coming out of one of these beads along the edge. So through and through. So we're coming out of the edge here. So start again with your gold beads. And again, as we're doing this, we want to be bringing it all together. So keep going round. The bead will want to pop out whilst you're doing this. Don't let it. Naughty bead. So we want to be going around, and again do the sticky, what Jill calls the sticky out beads, and give them a tug as you're going around like so. And you see how they're all sort of tugging together, and you'll get to the point pretty soon where you won't need to keep hold of this bead as firmly, because it will now start to bring it in. Bring the frame in like so. So through each of these little beads, give it a tug. Okay, can you see how it's starting to pop into place? Like so. I really like these vintage beads. I'm trying really hard to utilize what I have, or you know, sort of less expensive things in our stashes. It would be wonderful to, you know, be able to buy really expensive things all the time, but you can get some absolutely beautiful beads that are pre-loved. You know, if you go into the charity shops, the thrift stores, you know, antique places, that kind of thing, junk shops, we have quite a lot of those here in the UK. You guys here that live in the UK, okay, so through this last bead here, and then through the gold one to step that up, and then we want to go around again. So you guys that live in the UK, you'll know what I mean. There's sort of like little antique shops that you can pop in and buy some really quite affordable vintage jewellery. Okay, so as you can see, I'm going around again, through the little gold beads, and as you can see now, that's pulled that bead into place, so it's not wanting to pop out anymore. Like I say, I've seen quite a few of demonstrations of this using faux pearls. The beautiful and very talented Stephanie from Bronze Pony, she does a lot of work with faux pearls, and her work is just stunning. And I've seen her making these. I thought I'd try the crystals, you know, the faceted crystals, and I'm actually really happy with how this has turned out. I think it looks really, really pretty. And spring is certainly, oops, I've missed one there, haven't I? So if you miss one, that's no problem. Just come back out and go back in. That's no problem. There we go. That's just because I'm talking. The spring's on its way, and I don't know about you, I like a little bit of sparkle. I'm not a hugely blingy person, don't like, you know, masses of sparkle, but I do like a little bit of sparkle, especially around the face. Because when the sun's shining, these beautiful little crystals will, you know, shine upon your face and make you look even more beautiful than you are already. That's the whole point, isn't it? Enhance that beauty. So we're nearly at the end here. So just keep going. As you can see, we're pulling it all into place now. So through this one, like so. Just a couple more to go, which is good. Do this one. I hope this is focusing okay, but I'm sure I'll find that out when I'm editing. And through this last bead here. It's a bit of a difficult one, just give it a little tiny wiggle. All right, so here we go. So we've got our bead encapsulated in a beautiful frame that we've made with our seed beads and our delicate beads. Isn't that beautiful? I really like the way that looks. You can take this stopper off now because we're going to be weaving this through and making a knot. Because these are going to be dangles and not like on a ring or anything, you don't have to go potty with your weaving in. So we just basically come through here, just weave in like so, making sure to go through each of the beads so you don't have any thread showing, like so, and then back through this one, and then in the center all you do is you just find, if you can, a little bridge of thread, pop your needle underneath the bridge of thread like so, and make a knot like so. I just do this the once, you can do it twice if you like, just for extra, you know, stability. I find that one is fine. Take your needle off and get a good pair of scissors, give that a snip, and then we just need to do the same thing with the other end. So hopefully, yep, that's not too bad. That worked first time. Let's move this out of the way now and do the same thing. So coming out of this one, we can go up through this one like so. As long as you can't see your thread, just keep going through and then find the little thread bridge underneath and tie a knot and give it a little tug, and there we have it. Isn't that beautiful? So give that a snip. Wonderful. So there is our little bead encapsulated. Isn't that pretty? Can you see that? I hope you can see that okay. So there are two ways, well, actually three ways of doing this. I've experimented with using little thread guards. Now you can buy these little thread guards, can't you, for bracelets and things like that, to guard your wire, your thread or your wire or whatever. So you can attach one of those to dangle off an ear wire if you wanted to, which is a good way of doing it. You can also don't cut one of your threads and take 4 or 5 of your seed beads and create a little loop if you want to. But the way I do it is I've got these tiny little jump rings here. And as long as you're careful, you can do this no problem. So what I do is I open up this little tiny jump ring, and if it needs a little snip, that's absolutely fine. I'll just quickly do that off camera, because sometimes they cross over, these little things, don't they? Let's just snip that off a tiny little bit there. So what I do is I open this up. As long as you're careful, you shouldn't have any problems. So you'll find if you're using a see-through bead, you know, a clear bead, that you'll be able to see the line in the center, you know, where the hole is drilled. You want to be aiming for that really, because it just looks a little bit neater. And you try and find the bead that corresponds with the top, which is this one here, I think. No, maybe not. The one next to it, like so. Let's have a look at that one. Yeah, I think that will do. So we'll pop it through that one. Can you see? So that bead there corresponds with that line, the drill line. So what I do, just take this and find the bead, very gently wiggle that little jump ring through. Now you'll find that it will go through really, really nicely if it's small enough. So if I can work out the size of these little jump rings, I will put it in the description box. But essentially it's just a tiny little jump ring. There we go. And if you're going to be making your own jump rings, just literally experiment and get your wire and pop it through, you know, one of the little beads, and if it fits through, then it's perfect. All right, so there we go. So that's how I do it. But you know, there's different ways of doing it. And all you need now is a pretty little coordinating ear wire, or you can make your own. That's entirely up to you, isn't it? Open this up like so and pop your earring, your beaded bead on like so, and close up that. Give it a little bit of a polish, because obviously you've had your fingers around the bead. Give it a little bit of a polish like so, and there is your beautiful, beautiful earring. I really, really like these. Aren't they pretty, elegant in the ear? Again, you know, like with other makers, you can use the faux pearls or any sort of bead to make these, or like me, you can find some beautiful crystals, vintage crystals or otherwise, and make them with those as well. I just think they look really, really pretty in the crystal, don't you? So enjoy making those. I'm really, really happy to have you here along for a little bit of a chat and a natter. If that's your thing, then you're in the right place. And I will see you in my next video. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I'll speak to you soon.